Right, so we are to the fourth and final part of your trig regression model project. Part one is the analysis. You have to answer the question, which model is best and why? Make sure you use complete sentences. Use complete sentences and correct vocabulary. Oh, that doesn't look like the word vocabulary. Sorry about that. Okay, so which model is best and why? Use complete sentences, correct vocabulary. If you're comparing R-squared values, say R-squared. If you end up saying, well, quadratic's not best, I'm going to look at linear or exponential, maybe you could use the correlation coefficient, but R-squared is not the correlation coefficient. So if you say that, you're going to lose a point. R-squared is R-squared. R is the correlation coefficient. So which model is best and why? Maybe you're going to talk about, well, even though this one model was like the R-squared value is higher, I think the actual data based on my topic is actually going to follow the exponential model, and explain why. As long as you support your claim, you can get full credit, but you need to use complete sentences and correct vocabulary in this step in the analysis. The other part of the analysis is extrapolate 3 points. Now remember, extrapolate means go beyond. So in my instance, what I could do is I could extrapolate for the years 2019, 2020, and I don't know, maybe I would also extrapolate for the year 2025. Okay, so in my calculator, I'm going to do that by, let's see, 2019 is 12 years after 2007. So I'd put a 12 in. Now, you might say, well, which model do I use? Use the model you picked here. Extrapolate 3 points using your model of choice. So if I picked quadratic, use the quadratic. If I picked linear, use the linear. If I chose exponential, use exponential. So in 2019, my ordered pair would be 12 and whatever that would be. 2020, that would be 13. And 2025 would be, 18 years later. And I'm going to extrapolate those 3 points. But notice what it says in the directions. Explain what they mean in the context of the problem. So now explain using complete sentences. For instance, if I wanted to explain this ordered pair, I would say, in 2019, there will be blank deaths, whatever I got right here, due to heroin overdose in Maryland. I have to say in Maryland, because this is not for the world or the country or the region. It is just for Maryland. Then for my next one, I would have to say in 2020, ... and I'd have to write my complete sentence. Then I'd have to say in 2025, ... complete my sentence. Then the last part of the analysis is explain whether or not they're likely. Some of you will have extrapolated points that are likely. So explain if extrapolated points are likely. Sorry, trying to write too fast. I'm getting ahead of myself. And use complete sentences. Some of you will have extrapolated points that make perfect sense. Some of you will have extrapolated points that make no sense at all. And explain yes or no. I mean, maybe you'll say, well, the first two are good and the last one isn't. Well, why? Tell me why. Explain if the extrapolated points are likely and use complete sentences. So this is your analysis. All right, so that is one of the things that you need to do for part 4 is your analysis. Notice which model is best and why. I'm going to also say use complete sentences. Notice in every one of these parts, extrapolate 3 points using your model, explain using complete sentences. Explain if extrapolated points are likely, and use complete sentences. In all of your analysis, you are to use complete sentences. Then the only other part of your Trig project now is put the project together. That is the final thing that you need to do. That's where you're going to type things up. Complete your 5 separate pages, like the rubric says. So you would go back to complete the 5 pages from the rubric. Is everything neat? Easy to read? Presentation quality. And then you're done. This last part is mostly just putting it all together. Most people think the analysis is pretty easy. By the time you've done all the other work, the analysis isn't so bad to do. All right? That's a comma there. Don't want that to look like the word needy. Okay? So that's everything. So that's the last part of your Trig regression model project. Once you have all 5 pages done, you can turn it in.